It's 10 p.m. You're exhausted. And you see it, the half-finished school project on the kitchen table, the one that's due tomorrow, and every cell in your body screams, I have to fix this. So you jump in, you find the glue, you type up the labels, you stay up an hour later than you wanted to, all to prevent your child from feeling the sting of failure. I've been there. We all have. We do it because we love them. But what if that rescue mission, that act of love, is actually robbing them of the one thing they need most to succeed in life? Welcome to Pages to Practice. This isn't just a book club. This is a workshop for your life. We take profound ideas trapped on the page and turn them into real, transformative practice. And today, we are diving deep into a book that fundamentally challenged and honestly freed me as a parent. The Gift of Failure. We're going to uncover how letting our kids fail is not only okay, it is absolutely essential for their development into competent, resilient, and truly confident adults. The core problem this book tackles is something we rarely name, but we all feel. It's this deep-seated anxiety that our children's failures are a direct reflection on us. Their bad grade feels like ours bad grade. Their forgotten lunch feels like ours mistake. And so, we become their concierge, their personal assistant, their walking, talking alarm clock. We manage their lives down to the smallest detail, smoothing every bump in the road. And, it's not because we're bad parents. It's because we're terrified. Terrified they won't get into the right college. Terrified they'll be unhappy. Terrified we're not doing a good enough job. But the gift of failure offers a radical and liberating truth. Our real job isn't to prevent all failure. It's to prevent all failure. It's to prepare them to handle it. Because failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a crucial part of the path to OKJU. So let's get into the heart of it. What does this actually look like? The first, and maybe the biggest, mind shift is moving from parent as manager to parent as consultant. A manager steps in, directs, and fixes. A consultant is hired for their expertise, offers advice when asked, and then steps back. They trust the client to do the work. I have to be honest with you, this was a hard one for me. I remember my son having a history project, and my first instinct was to lay out the timeline, to research the best sources, to basically direct the whole thing. I had to physically sit on my hands and bite my tongue. When he asked, Dad, I'm not sure where to start, instead of giving him a 10-point plan, I said, That's a great question. What are some of your initial ideas? He stumbled. It wasn't as neat or as efficient as my way would have been, but the project was his. The A he earned was his. The competence he felt, that was the real prize. This is so important for transformation because it transfers ownership. When they own their work, they own their successes. And more importantly, they own the lessons from their stumbles. The second principle is learning to detach our own ego from their outcomes. Oof. This is the one that stings. It's the report card day where our stomach is in knots. It's the soccer game where we're more upset about the loss than they are. We have to unwire this belief that their performance is our performance. I had to learn to see a C on a math test not as a catastrophe, but as a piece of data. It's information. It says, okay, something about trigonometry isn't clicking. That's it. It's not a judgment on my parenting or his future. Why does this matter? Because when we detach, we stop parenting from a place of fear and start parenting from a place of support. We can look at that C and say, hey, that looks like it was a tough test. What was challenging about it? Do you need to talk to the teacher? Our response teaches them that their worth isn't in the grade, it's in their effort and their willingness to learn from a setback. And that leads right into the third key insight, intentionally fostering intrinsic motivation. For so long, we're taught to use rewards, stickers for chores, money for grades, dessert for a clean plate. These are all extrinsic motivators. They come from the outside. The book argues, and I have seen this in my own home, that these external rewards can actually kill the internal, or intrinsic, drive to do something for its own sake. When you pay a child for good grades, they're not learning to love learning, they're learning to love the payment. The goal becomes the reward, not the competence. The transformation here is about nurturing their inner fire. It's about praising effort over outcome. Instead of saying, wow, you got an A, try saying, I saw how hard you worked on that essay. You spent 2 hours researching, and you didn't give up. That's amazing. You're watering the root, not just admiring the flower. Okay, so we get the theory. But this is Pages to Practice. How do we actually do this? Let's move this from the page into your home tonight. Here's your first exercise. It's called the Homework Amnesty Night. For one night, just one, you are not going to ask about homework. You won't remind them. You won't check their backpack. You will let the natural consequences, whatever they may be, play out. If they do it, great. If they don't, they will have to explain it to their teacher tomorrow, not to you. The expected transformative outcome here is powerful. They learn that their responsibilities are, in fact, theirs. You're not the homework police. It's a small, controlled, low-stakes failure that teaches a massive lesson in ownership. Here's your second practice, the forget something. Drill. The next time you get that text from school, Mom, I forgot my lunch, or Dad, I left my gym shorts at home, pause, take a breath. And instead of dropping everything and racing to the school, I want you to try this. Respond with empathy and empowerment. Something like, oh no, that's a bummer. What do you think you can do to solve that? Let them figure it out. Can they borrow from a friend? Can they borrow from a friend? Can the school provide a lunch? Will they miss one gym class? The outcome you're aiming for is not a hungry or embarrassed child. It's a child who realizes they are a capable problem solver. And the final and most important exercise, the failure debrief. When a failure happens, and it will, your role is not to shame or to fix. It's to be the coach. Pull them aside and with genuine curiosity, just ask a few simple questions. Oof, that's rough. What happened? Let them talk. Then, what did you learn from that? And finally, what might you try differently next time? That's it. You're not giving them the answers. You're guiding them to find their own. The transformative outcome is resilience. You are literally wiring their brain to see failure, not as a dead end, but as a data point on the path to growth. Now, I know what you're thinking. My own anxiety is screaming just listening to this. What if their grades really plummet? What if this is just too hard? Let's talk about that resistance, because it's real. First, your anxiety. That feeling in your gut is your protective instinct. Acknowledge it. Thank it for trying to keep your child safe, and then gently remind it that scrapes, both literal and metaphorical, are part of growing up. This isn't about letting your kid play in traffic. We're talking about the low-stakes failure zone, the forgotten homework, the B-, the unreturned library book. It's about building their anti-fragility muscle in a safe environment. It's a process of scaffolding. You start with small things, and as they prove their competence, you slowly remove more of your support structure because you see they can hold their own weight. And this is where we go beyond the book to the very spirit of pages through practice. This isn't just a parenting strategy. This is a profound spiritual practice. Every time you resist the urge to pack their backpack, every time you let them handle a disagreement with a friend on their own, every time you see a less than perfect grade and choose connection over correction, you are practicing the art of letting go. You are practicing the art of letting go. You are practicing faith. Faith in your child. Faith in the person they are becoming. You are slowly, deliberately, untangling your identity from theirs. You are beginning to see them not as a project to be managed, but as a whole, separate soul on their own journey. And your job is not to walk their path for them, but to be their most trusted, most loving, most honest consultant while they learn to walk it themselves. It is a sacred trust, and it requires our own deep, personal work to be able to offer it. So here is my call to you, my challenge for your practice this week. Your most important takeaway is this. Your job is not to prevent 100% of your child's failures. Your job is to be the coach who helps them learn from the 10% you strategically allow to happen. In the comments below, I want you to commit to one thing. Just one. What is one small, low-stakes failure you are willing to let your child experience this week so they can practice being resilient? Maybe it's not reminding them about their cleats. Maybe it's letting them make their own lopsided sandwich for lunch. Write it down. Commit to it. Let's create a community of parents who are brave enough to give their children the true gift of failure. Thank you for being here, for doing this work. Subscribe for more deep dives that bridge the gap between page and practice. Now go, be a consultant. Trust the process, trust your child, and trust yourself.